Hello, Fano, and welcome to Journey with Us 13. So, as you can see here, my son, my bin hasn't been taken out for the last 3 consecutive recycling bin days, which is once every fortnight, because my son's had, as you can see in there, everything, including rubbish and wet, soaked cushions and God knows what else in there. So as soon as I grabbed it and tried to, bring it back, I automatically knew there was more than just recycling in there. So, lesson 1, do it properly. Only put recycling in the recycling bin. So I'm a big believer of teaching my kids, because it can be so much easier if they just did it right the first time. So that's his first lesson here that he is learning. And teenagers, at that age. So I have to keep them in line sometimes, And these are the ways I do, by keeping them humble and get out there and do the work, They see Mama does. Sorry about the noise, Whānau. I'm just having a bath and cooling down my bath. And while I was editing that video, I obviously forgot about my bath, so it was definitely a bit overfull. So my shower definitely got a rinse out as well. So I am just having a salt bath. So the salt I will show you at the end of the video. I got this for free when my neighbours moved out next door. It says cooking salt, but I'm not going to use it in cooking, obviously. So I just use it. Going to be using it in my bath water. So, because he also knows he's on video, he's definitely aware of that. He's making sure he does it properly. I tend to notice if I put this camera in front of them, they tend to do an awesome job. So, hence the video while I was out the front fluttering. So I foraged some beautiful succulents that I have been looking at every time I walk past this house. And luckily for me, as I was walking back from shopping, he was actually trimming them. And I asked him if I could take a couple of the bushes, and he said, yeah, no problem. You stick them anywhere and they'll grow, which is exactly what I want them for. So on the outside of my fence line, I just add them in every area I could see, because I know they're just going to flourish. So I have a lot of excess water that comes around the fence line, obviously, down into the drain. So the goal with adding succulents in those areas where I have water runoff and the gaps where the tyres are and so forth, I'm going to add succulents in those gaps so that, and it already looks pretty with the red and the pink kind of colours going on, and the yellow and the green and the succulent. So they already have a personality of their own. So adding them around the edges of my fence line and my front yard garden to the driveway, it looks pretty awesome. And in time, once they establish themselves, all of that excess water that comes off there won't be as much because they'll be feeding the plants, the succulents that I have placed there. So it was obviously just one main flower, which was very pretty, the yellow and pink one. So in between it, I had a few just plain green succulents that I added in between. You'll see that coming up in the rest of the video, whānau, so I'm just giving you a backdrop of what you're about to see. After my son finishes what he's up to, I'll show you what I'm up to in the front yard and what my goal is. So my goal is in my front yard strip just to turn it into like a flower haven and, you know, make it a bit more appealing to the eye. So I have yuccas out the front, you know, that have established themselves. They've been there for a few months now. So now my job is just to I added the succulents, you know, broke them down and added the succulents around each tree of around each of the yucca trees. So, you know, as those yucca trees grow and all that excess water that comes off the soaker hoses, you know, my succulents will absorb and also, you know, keep the yucca protected, you know, stop it from getting blown over by the wind, because they'll have the stability of the succulents that have grown around it and bounded themselves by root. That'll, you know, and because they're all young, they'll all establish their roots together and grow together, as opposed to putting in succulents when they've like fully grown, kind of like I have in my pathway that I created, which you will also see, which is doing good. So I had these on for at least an hour to 45 minutes to an hour, just soaking. They also reach to the front yard strip that I'm creating, all the excess water. There you go, that's what I was talking about, the succulents that we've got going on there, and those will just grow and just look pretty, and as they grow I'll trim them back and keep adding them to my front yard garden. So there's the one tire that's bloomed, so that was getting all the excess water, as you can see, and it just flourished. So that's why I started creating that part in the front, so that is also getting the excess water. So all the gaps that I could see I planted in that succulent, as you can see. So those yuccas that I show you, I decided to go around them as well and do the same, as I haven't got those garden beds filled, so all that excess water will need to be going somewhere. While those garden beds ain't filled, that is the fireplace I've used a couple of times, and it is awesome. Getting rid of my big twigs, or my little ones couldn't get my big twigs in there, and not having a saw, you know, it was a bit harder to get them chopped. So having my homemade fire pit that I created here, I'm able to have big pieces in, as you can see, and as they burn down, I just push them in. So that's what it's looking like, but while all that excess water that you see coming from my soaker hoses, while there's nothing in those garden beds there, I added those succulents around the yuccas so they can, right there, lap up as much water as they can before I start laying the compost and everything for those gardens, once I get the garden full of them. But slowly but surely, whānau, here we go, it's coming along. You know, I can already envision what they will look like. So yeah, right along, I'm just adding in succulents where there was, you know, excess water. So going back to showing my beautiful apple tree here. This one was the last one I planted, and the one to be thriving the most, considering it had snapped off, but that's why we see it flourishes where its new growth started. So that's the area there that I've been working on, is that front yard strip there. That will be my butterfly haven. And in saying that, whānau, I've lived here for a year and I have not mowed my front yard once. Other than the first time we did a clip right back in the beginning of moving in here. Other than that, we have just laid down cardboard, we have carpet under here, carpet mats, carpet runners, whānau, you name it. We have that trampoline stuff that we had cardboard and blankets underneath, and then we have the black over it. So, you know, that's why my daughter has no grass coming up through there. As you can see, that carpet runner, eventually I want to cover that all with wood chips. I thought would be better as opposed to the hay, but the hay is good considering there is clay soil in there, and I'm all about, you know, working on getting good soil, so hopefully that helps break down the soil, and when I put the wood chips over it, yeah, that'll just break down into helping regenerate the soil from beneath. While I create a beautiful haven, you know, above the soil. So check it out, here's our two cats. I'm sure they've missed this. They were busy, they had all their kittens. We finally got rid of them all. We have one left, sorry, which is Trippies, is the other cat. There it is, she's got one of her kittens left. But other than that, we have no kittens. We did take the kitten off her after this one though, so no kitten was harmed in this process. When they know she's in this mood, they kind of take off. So here's my dog. So the chickens have their day out. My boy has the morning, he comes in the afternoon. Chickens get let out. Then my boy comes in and he gets let out later on in the evening when the chickens are in the coop, and then he gets the backyard back to himself. So I covered up the hole that he was getting out in the front. I filled that up with bricks, so pretty good here, but check that out. My chickens ate all my perfectly nice green grass and everything else, but it is cool because, you know, I don't have to mow lawn, so that's a bonus. So here we go, here's my soaker, it's still on, and then I unhook this because I need it hooked up to my other soaker hose that I want to set up on the other side where my flowers and my front entrance is. So this side has got a good water in, which also feeds the front yard strip. The lavender's looking good. I have a fern in there. Hopefully that comes back with a good water, with a regular water now. And then awesome system. So I've got two soaker hoses. I take out the old one. I replaced it with a new one. So this side's got to have a good water. Now I want to move on to the next side and get that all sorted and get that all watered as well. But good to know when I do have those garden beds all ready, the water is all ready to go as well, and I just have to unclip that main nozzle, which I'm going to unclip now, and change it over to the other soaker hose, which is just on the other side. So in the other corner, so I don't really have to, you know, wiggle around and maneuver too many hoses. It was a bit of a struggle in the beginning to get this one attached, but eventually I did, so that was awesome. So I left that on also for a good 40 minutes to an hour and just let that soak in. As that area gets a full sun beating during the day, so I like to give it a good water once the sun comes down. I'm not an early morning person that gets up and does that, so I like to give mine an evening water. So by the time I water them, the sun is not blaring down, but it's still warm. But you know, it's not going to harm the plants. So you know, there's no excess water that sits in them overnight, you know, other than what the plants have absorbed. from the hay that would have soaked up the water. So Bona's having hay as my, footpath at the moment, because when I do need it, I just grab some from the footpath and add it to the plant that is needed. So look, my flowers have been blooming since they had the soaker hose, and they don't have it every day, maybe every second day. You don't want them to become dependent on water. You want them to reach down and, root those roots. So I like to give mine a soak every second day, depending on if we've had rain. If we've had rain, and I can give it another day before I give it a water. But just because we have to pay for water these days, don't want to be willy-nilly with your water. So I recommend doing it every second day. If you have some rain, that's awesome. You can chuck it back to, the fourth day. And just you work with the weather. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just setting up the second hose. And then I want to connect it. This side hasn't been getting any water. Just the other side, as that was the side that's been set up. So this side hasn't had any water for at least about a week. So that's what you see me doing now. But I hope you enjoyed the video, whānau, and that's me for now.